Showdown, the newest PvP RecRoom original, and undoubtedly the most inactive official RecRoom game to this day. Upon release, this game felt rushed. Deputies versus bandits fighting in one compact map with no twists whatsoever. It's clear that Showdown had some flaws in the beginning, but RecRoom would fix this, right? 1 year later, and Showdown is in the exact same position it was during its release and seems to have been left in the dust. Today, we'll be documenting the events that led to RecRoom giving up and pushing this game off to the side. This is the downfall of Showdown. To start off, let's look at some statistics. I knew that Showdown was one of the least played RecRoom originals, but when looking at the others, it doesn't even compare to the main competitors. As of January 2024, the only RecRoom originals to have less visits than Showdown are Dodgeball VR, Orientation, Legacy 3D Charades, and Disc Golf Propulsion. These are not real games. Looking at all the RecRoom originals that I just said, only a few of them are actual official games. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's quickly dissect every game that I just mentioned and I'll tell you why they aren't real games. Starting with Disc Golf Propulsion. This game was released as a sequel to Disc Golf, which could have easily been added to the original game that has more visits than Showdown, so it doesn't count. Next up we have Dodgeball VR and Legacy 3D Charades. These are just copies of their original game to satisfy players depending on what they want. Legacy 3D Charades is just an older version of Charades, and Dodgeball VR is Dodgeball, but only for VR players. And then finally we have Orientation. This is the game's tutorial. Nobody plays it. Pretty self-explanatory. What does all this mean? Showdown is the least played original RecRoom game, which it's called RecRoom Originals for a reason, so I would say that all the other games don't count, besides from Orientation, of course. Now that we've done that and realized that Showdown is the least played RecRoom original, what makes it separated from all the others and what caused it to get in this horrible position? Showdown is a 3v3 shooter in a map named Sarsaparilla Springs. There's an annoying train that comes by every 5 minutes while you're in the middle of a PvP. It's a one-hit PvP, so whenever you shoot somebody, they're automatically dead, and it's one of the most crammed PvP maps of all time. Why is this an issue? If it's a one-hit game and you have a crammed map, nobody is going to live more than 10 seconds. Paintball is another example of a one-hit game. Whenever you shoot somebody, they automatically die. No health systems, no nothing. People love this game. What's the reason for that? The maps aren't crammed. Speaking of maps, Showdown has one map. That's the issue with Showdown. They added no replayability system such as the leveling system from Make It to Midnight, multiple maps for you to explore, and hundreds of different strategies like in Paintball. There is no substance to this game. It is simply a shooter. Why did they make this game? Showdown was added to introduce RecRoom Studio, so there is a purpose behind it. But it did such a bad job at introducing RecRoom Studio that I think it has genuinely left a bad stigma on the whole product that they're trying to advertise. If RecRoom is going to advertise something that they've been working on for years, RecRoom Studio, which is a collaboration with Unity to make your rooms more complex and do in-depth modeling, don't give them this to start out with. Showdown, the worst performing RecRoom original, the worst looking RecRoom original in my opinion, and the most boring RecRoom original. Everyone's gonna think that RecRoom Studio just sucks and you can't make a game with it. Eventually we figured out that you can create some pretty cool stuff with it. Make It to Midnight was actually created with RecRoom Studio, I think. If that is true, they did a great job with it, and they should have used that as their introduction. So not only was Showdown one of the worst performing RecRoom originals, it was also a wasted potential. After hearing all of that, you may either think that I'm correct and Showdown is a dead game, or I'm wrong and you want another opinion. So I brought in my friend Turbo and interviewed him to see what his thoughts on Showdown was and what the future of RecRoom originals may look like. So Turbo, what do you think of Showdown at this moment? Do you think it's a fun game or what?
I really don't think it's fun. I definitely think it was fun. Like, like it had potential, but you know, the curse of RecRoom dropping a RecRoom original and then after a month they just forget about it. Really, for a repetitive game like that, makes it just get boring after.
When you're playing Showdown, do you think there's one bug that really stands out to you?
Yeah, I feel like they had a lot of issues with like the reloading the guns. I remember I'd spawn in with the pistol and I'd have to drop it and pick it back up because it wouldn't shoot. And they'd also have a bug where like the game would never end. Like sometimes someone would leave and it would bug it out. And I just feel like those are really simple bugs to fix, but they really destroy like the gameplay aspect.
So Turbo, how do you think RecRoom could revive Showdown if they saw this video?
Okay, RecRoom. So I feel like if you just add a new map, you know, maybe hire the community to do that, because it's not that hard now that they have access to RecRoom Studio to make a simple looking map. And then also, I think they could implement a system like how the quests do it. I think a reason they're super popular is they have a reason to grind to get cosmetics. And since the guns are pretty much unique to that game, they can make it like get a certain kill streak, get a certain amount of total kills, and you can get special gun skins for those guns.
So Make It to Midnight recently dropped, and as you all may know, it hasn't really had any updates since it dropped. Do you think it'll be able to survive that because the game is so replayable, or do you think it'll meet the same doom as Showdown?
I feel like, yeah, it definitely is on its way to do that, because it had like maybe one update, because they fixed like some barrier thing, but they really haven't updated it in like solid, I don't know how long it's been, 4 months. But they made the level system, I feel like, way too difficult for such kind of lame prizes. They had a good idea, and I think it's a great start, but I definitely think if they don't add like a map or more abilities, it will just die out, and I feel like it already started to. Just like Showdown, I feel like it definitely needs some reworks. Hire the community for a map, add more cosmetics, add more abilities. Very simple things that shouldn't be that hard to add instead of just adding useless cosmetics.
Thank you, Turbo, for discussing Showdown with me. Let's get back to the video.
Like and subscribe. Transition.
It has been a few months since I started working on this video, so let's go through some things that have happened since. Number 1. RecRoom hasn't updated Showdown yet, and I still don't think they will in the future. It's basically been in the same state since I've started working on this video. And number 2, Gribbly announced on an AMA that he wants to go back and update some of the older RecRoom originals. This can include giving them some brand new content or polishing older RecRoom originals that really need some love. Does this mean that Showdown will get a revival anytime soon? No. I think if RecRoom were to go back and update their originals, they would focus on more classics like Laser Tag or a newer, more polished game like My Little Monsters. Showdown has a lot of potential, but since the reputation of it is already basically ruined, it wouldn't be that good of an investment to update the game. They would focus on the games I mentioned before, as it wouldn't be as much of a risky investment. After hearing both Turbo and I's views on Showdown, it's pretty obvious that the game has been left in the dust, and RecRoom most likely will not update it in the future. But whether the game is still fun or not is up to you. Thank you all for watching.